Hi gents, good morning, welcome to Wildcrafts. Pleasure to see you all. You know me, I'm Les. Brett, my other instructor, you know. We're going to start with knife sharpening and knife safety. I know a lot of you have been here and done this before. This is for the benefit of the two guys who haven't seen it, and it's also for your benefit because I'm fairly certain that none of you have picked up or used the knife since the last time you were here. So we're going to go through it again just to make sure it's well embedded into your heads. Okay? It is important. Okay? First rule, if your knife is not in use, it is sheathed or pegged, yeah? The one exception is when you have been using it to prepare food, yeah? When you've been using it to prepare food, the chances is your hands are going to be wet and slippery. At that point, you can lay the knife down, alright? The other exception is when you're working and you need two hands. You can put the knife under your arm, continue working, doing what you're doing, remembering to lift your arm up before you remove the blade. The blade's always pointing downwards. Okay? If, for some unknown reason, one of you is asked to pass a knife to somebody, it is like this. Handle towards the person you are passing it to, cutting edge uppermost. That way it can be taken safely and everybody knows where the cutting edge is. Please pay attention because this is for your safety, yeah? I don't want any cuts. Any cuts, you go see Mr. Day, he will patch you up. Alright? Any questions? Right. To sharpen a knife, gather in, come round, get low down. If you look at the blade of your knife, yeah, you will see it is flat ground as opposed to this knife here, which has a double bevel edge on it. Alright, you can see a very, very fine edge on the end. Alright? Got it? Disadvantage with these is they chip. They're also hard to sharpen right here. This is stainless steel, so it's hardened steel to begin with, which makes it even harder to sharpen. The blades you have are carbon steel. Slightly prone to rusting, but as long as you keep them oiled and not in use, it's not a problem. Now, your knife is your life. You're only as sharp as your cutting tool. The cutting tool needs to be sharp to make it safe to use. The sharper it is, the less force it requires, so therefore it becomes safer. If it is blunt, it requires more force to use, and therefore is more likely to slip and injure you. Alright? On the oil stone, plenty of oil. The oil stones and the oil will be out all weekend. Alright, so there's no excuse for blunt knives. Plenty of oil. We lay the knife on the stone. We angle the knife. We rock it till we hit the bevel. Remembering, because there's a curve on the blade, when we draw the blade towards us, we have to lift the handle to maintain contact. Alright? So we lay the blade down and we draw it towards us. You've got to try and picture yourself taking a slice off of the oil stone. So you need some pressure while removing metal. So draw it towards us 3 times. 1, 2, 3. We reverse the knife. Lay it flat. Find the bevel. 1, 2, 3. We now alternate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice that what I do to one side of the blade I automatically do to the other. Keep the blade balanced. We now test the edge. Not like that. Like that. Just touch the blade with your thumb. you can soon tell with experience whether or not it is sharp. If you're happy with that, and it feels nice and sharp, you come to the next stage, which is over here. Now, when you sharpen a knife, as I said, you are removing metal. And what you get is a very fine burr on the edge of the blade. You have to take that burr off. Any of you have ever been to an old-fashioned barber with the cutthroat, they'll have a strop by the side of his seat when he does the next shave. Just to maintain the edge on the razor. It's the same principle. We wear leather belts, yeah? So we've always got a strop for our knife. Nice and hard, hold it nice and stiff. And we pull the blade towards us. It's the opposite action of what you did. What you're doing is taking off that burr and you're strengthening the cutting edge. This really needs to be done 20 to 30 strokes per side. Have you got some paper handy, Will? Or some, you got some paper?
Yeah. Cinnamons don't work.
You got some? Cheers. Now, there's another paper test. If this knife won't cut this paper, it's not sharp enough. If it won't cut paper, it's not going to cut anything else. Alright? Now, if it does that, paper, what's it going to do to you? Okay, the same, exactly. Safety, safety, safety at all times, yeah? If you're out here on your own, or in a situation where you actually end up having to use these skills, the last thing you need is an extra injury. What we're going to try and do this weekend, and any subsequent weekend you come out, is to get you into habits. So that when you're in a situation where you may be cold, wet, tired, hungry, and you've got to use a knife and get a fire going, you do it safely and automatically because that's the way you've learned. Okay? 2 other points. Don't stick the blade in the ground. I know it looks like a nice safe thing to do, and if you ever watch Mr. Grills on television, you see him doing it all the time, especially on the beach when he was allegedly building a raft. He took his knife out into the sand. Worst thing you can ever do, because all that does is take the edge off your knife and all you've got is a nice pointy piece of steel. It's no good to you whatsoever. The other thing, no carving between your legs. When you have to carve down the outside, always onto a block. Always. Down here, you have femoral artery. It's elasticated. You slice it, one end goes down here, the other end pings up into your pelvis. Yeah? You cut that, we get a body bag and take you home in it. And I kid you not. If you want any knowledge or horror stories about people cutting femoral arteries, speak to Mr. Day. Alright, he's been there, he's done it. Alright, there's one thing we have to impress on you. Alright, because we've only got the one body bag and the deer's in it. Alright, and I'm not going to evacuate the deer for one of you. Alright? Okay? Exactly. Now, knife sharpening. We have 3 stones, a couple of tins of oil. So divide up into groups. Okay? 2 newbies with me. Everybody else sort yourselves out with all stones and oil and get sharpening.